what impact really are we having in the digital economy today?
I would say a lot. But first, thank you once again for having me. And when you discuss the impacts of digitization on enterprise and even in the digital economy generally, you are looking at something deeper. For instance, you cannot make a call. That is part of digitization.
No, but that's long ago. That's
yes,
too long.
That is long ago. But then, it is important that we appreciate the level of digitization we have had in this country. For instance, now, on the basics, you can now apply for your passport on the internet. You can do a lot, actually. You can pay most of your payments online. You can open a bank account online. You can get an instant transaction. In fact, you have a lot of companies, unicorns, coming out of Nigeria. Jobs are being created. So digitization runs deeper than we can think of. Yeah, and the impact is massive. The GDP is growing. The jobs are being created. The young populations are getting jobs everywhere in the world. There is no country in the world, let me not say, but I believe that most countries in Nigeria are working there, right here, starting from right here in Nigeria. That is the impact of digitalization. They can now take digital courses. They can learn from different universities around the world, staying in Nigeria. There is e-learning platforms everywhere, and the access to AI is making things blossom. So these are all benefits and impact of digitalization. So it is touching. There is no Nigerian that digitalization have not touched in a positive way. And it is even unprecedented when you look back in the last 10 years. So these are major benefits of digitization.
Yeah, but you see, when we go down to the masses then say to you, hey, we don't necessarily feel it. Because, I mean, if it doesn't translate to cost of transportation, if it doesn't translate to feeding, if it doesn't translate to housing, how then do we really measure the impact of digitization, in this digital economy that we're trying to push?
Okay. So generally, when I understand the question perfectly well. When you look at digitization in Nigeria, we always measure digitization in terms of gross marginalized value.
Yeah.
We talk about the number of unicorn. We talk about the number of startups. That's we talk about you can now receive instant transfer, as I just said. The reason why the average person on the street or a normal person, let's say somebody who is not a billionaire or a millionaire in Nigeria now, is not feeling the impact or is feeling half impact, is because of half digitization. For instance, I just praised the passport application. But when you apply for passport, you still need to go down for passport office for capturing. So it erodes the excitement. It is the excitement that is being half. That is why many people are not feeling it. Because probably a lot of things are expensive. When you apply for an enterprise loan in a bank, you still need to go back and do capturing. Most things are not deep. You see that most of our government agencies are digitized, but not fully digitized. You see them have a form where you can ask questions, what is this? But when you go to the office, when you submit something in the office, they still need to bring hard copy. Or if you're not bringing hard copy, when you go to the organization, they still need you to write your attendance in a paper. So you see that why in your head there is digitization, but in real sense, it is half. So it is the lack of policy that to say it's digitization or nothing. Let's just make sure that this thing go through from A to Z. I do not see a reason why we still go to the immigration office to do capturing. It is not necessary. If you can authenticate me all the information I provided, you don't need me to come physically. I mean, that is like the list of things somebody can do in this world now. I do not see the reason why bank will still need small businesses to come physically for loan verification. You can do all the KYC and KYB that you need to do. You don't need them physically.
So half digitization is causing us not to feel the impact.
Exactly.
So again, the question then becomes, right now, the way it's operating, who really then is benefiting? I mean, you named a couple of unicorns, right? But you see, the question is, the unicorn might just be somebody who's just making it on his own. How do we translate it to the ordinary Nigerian who goes from day to day, like you said? If it doesn't translate to feeding and eating and, the normal basics, how do we bring it down to those people? How do we make sure that everybody goes together?
I think every Nigerian is benefiting. We're not just benefiting at level of satisfaction.
Maximum.
Just like when you are giving small food in an occasion, just small something, it doesn't quench your hunger. So it is benefiting all of us, but not benefiting us a lot. So that is why we are not satisfied. So they are major beneficiaries because you can see the influx of the ability for banks to onboard a lot of customers digitally have increased their profits. The ability for fintechs to stay in a small office and register users across the nation have made a lot of startups to become unicorn and benefit immensely from digitization. The ability for someone to stay here, take exam in US, in UK, and in other parts of the world have made that particular person to benefit. So everyone is a winner. We're just not winner at the highest level. So, but when you talk about the highest beneficiary, you can talk about the, the major organizations,
the tech companies and
tech founders, startups,
yeah.
unicorns, startups that have really leveraged these opportunities to build something valid. In a way, they are not just the only they are just the highest beneficiaries. If we keep fearing that, if we allow the process to be complete, that something is going to go wrong, then they won't get anywhere.
Do you think there is a deliberate attempt not to go fully into the digital? Is that what you're saying?
No, no, no. I don't think there is a deliberate attempt. I think that it is just a fear factor, considering where you are coming from. There is no deliberate, I do not believe anyway, that there is a deliberate effort not to go digital. But I believe that there is no political will.
The willpower.
The willpower or the policy standpoint to go full digital. If you want to check guests in a hotel room, there are simple technology you can deploy for you to know everybody that attending that in different hotel rooms. You don't need to go and collect the guest room every day based on the way security agencies handle most of these things. If you want people to apply for passports, you can do it 100%. You apply, you stay in your room, you check. You can see how JAM went digital fully. Everybody is enjoying it because, and that is not even full digitization. The next phase of JAM digitization would be like somebody can stay in his room and write.
Beautiful.
And nobody is afraid of kidnapping. Nobody is afraid of insecurity. Nobody is afraid of anything because you can stay in your home and write this exam.
What about hacking and malpractice?
You can't because of fear. You can't be. The most important thing, the consultants, the individual involved in this process should be able to handle it. I mean, like, if you can transfer $1 billion, 20 billion naira from one bank to another, somebody should be able to take a simple exam. Yes. I mean, like, we're already doing serious stuff online. We can still do all those other ones, really. If somebody can be sentenced through a court process online, I mean, I do not see any other reason. We need to build security capacities to remove fear from achieving total digitization. Without that, there won't be, ultimate benefits from these processes.
Yeah, it's very lovely the way you have really presented it. So let me just ask you then, what do you envisage, or what does it really mean to say that enterprise digitization has taken place fully, for small business owners in Nigeria especially?
Okay. You see the way CAC digitized, you can stay at home, register, get your CAC documents without any problem, without any delay. This is the kind of digitization we expect to see in other places. So if you are digitized from A to Z, you can still provide alternative. For instance, now, in the terms of immigration, passport application, yes, you can still provide a channel for people to come and do physical verification. Those who do not have the capacity to complete the process on their own. Yes, you can still do that. But having a loop, or let me not call it a loophole, having a process where it is digitization, then manual, then digitization, it's erode the benefit of digitization. So I expect at this process that every organization should check their means of operation from end to end. What are the SOPs in this organization? Check it from end to end. There is always nothing that digitization cannot do. Nothing. Even traffic control.
So many businesses, the small businesses especially, why are they struggling to go digital and adopt, digital tools? As much as you say that, AI adoption is growing and all that, why do we still see that, that little struggle to say, hey, let's adopt fully, especially for the, small businesses?
Okay. So why we have many businesses, especially SMBs, not going full digital, is because the society is also not fully digitized. You can't grow beyond your environment. It is just not possible. You can't decide to, but to think about it, a lot of startups are actually digital. There is most startups I've seen, especially within the ones in our network, there is no way you will not see option for people to work remotely, option to check attendance remotely, option to check, have a digital bank account. Most of the things that startups do is already digitized. The only problem is that our society is not digitized in real sense. It's digitized, but not completely digitized. So that makes it impossible for most startups to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to ask my team to work remotely so that the cost of operation will go down. Because they won't have some basic things at home. There may not be power. The cost of solar may be very high. Data is increasing cost, actually. So a lot of things the cost of a lot of things are increasing. Most of these things are still within the reach of this startup, but not at the extent that they can fully say, okay, you know what, we are going without this. And even the society expects you to be manual as well. If you go to a bank, they say, where is your office? You say you don't have office, you say, you are not a serious company. Yes, you need to do KYC, tell us your nearest bus stop. You want to apply for loan, small business loan, they tell us the color of the office building, this one. So I think we should stop measuring success based on, merchandise value. What are the numbers? Where is your office? Where is let us see you so that we can evaluate it. We are sending our teams to come and measure. All those are known. Bring the attendance sheet so that we can be sure that you have the number of staff that you claim to have. Overseas, people are already having one person's company. And one person's company is already becoming big companies. You see a company that is big, providing a lot of things, but it's just one person. So for us to achieve this optimized digitization process in Nigeria, we need to provide an enabling environment. I'm glad at what is happening. There are a lot of improvement we have seen. If you say there is no improvement, that means you are living in denial. There are a lot of improvements. Even in most of the things I mentioned here, you can see that some of the improvements are very massive. But we need to go deeper. We need to go, full throttle on the processes. That is what I think. So the society needs to digitize, and people need to accept this digitization, and it will go the same way.